Welcome back to the R6 NAL DOA. Jacob Cookies here with you at the desk. Just saw Astralis take down Beast Coast 7-4, but we are moving on. It is going to be Mirage versus Parabellum. Two teams on, a bit of a journey this stage, so to speak. Mirage has been a little bit of a rough journey. It's been a test. It's been an Empire Strikes Back of a stage, as it were, for them. But some, light at the end of the tunnel. Some positive stuff happening towards the end. Parabellum, meanwhile, coming in fairly hot, I would say, looking like a team that has some potential. We like to throw that word around a lot in esports, but they haven't quite realized it yet. So going into this one, Mirage having a little bit of momentum. Cookies, do you think they've got what it takes to take down Parabellum today?
Absolutely.
Really?
All right.
You're saying that and you're not joking?
We're going to get to predictions
Grizz
later,
nasty,
for sure.
what
But
What? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm like, wait.
all right. Well, what do you think they have? Like, what have they shown you that's causing you to think that?
We've seen across teams, not just in North America, in every region. Sometimes when the coach subs in, hey, it helps them. It's helpful to the players. It keeps, you know how I said, like, slash and drip, you're holding the young guys in the team's hands.
Right.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing if it's a coach, I mean, that's pretty much all a veteran player is the coach, except he can shoot a little better. Now, I could say this. I've queued against Square and TDM. He can shoot like a player. Let me tell you, he's nasty.
All right.
And I think he can, like I said, he can kind of be a helpful alongside Thomas as a hand holder.
That is something that we should mention again, too, is Gara, their coach, actually stepping in for Razor, who is having to take a little bit of an extended leave from the team here. It looked a little bit rough first time out, not going to lie, but rough situation to come into, going from coach to suddenly you're sitting there in the arena shooting at people on the other side in the game, right? I mean, that's a big difference from your usual job. But he's done okay. He's held his own. They won their last series.
Yep.
So, maybe, despite this stage being like a little bit of a tough time, shall we say, there is definitely some bright spots to consider on the squad.
I mean, I think the nice part is you still have someone who can give you a bit of a coach buff in the middle of a game, rather than having to take a tag timeout to hear what the opinions of your coach is. The sacrifice you're making is the player who arguably made the biggest impact on your squad. Yeah. But I don't know, now having seen the way that Mirage have played their last two games, even if it's kind of like throw something up in the air and see if it sticks, it still suggests that the way that this team was playing with Razor on the roster was like Razor go do stuff, but the rest of the team maybe wasn't doing enough to support him. Now, because he's not really in that question anymore, the pressure has gone on to guys like Melted to find a way to step up, and he did. The man, when he played like Twitch against Beast Coast last week, dropped 14 frags and held down CCTV like no man's business. Melted, we've criticized a lot this stage. He kind of came alive in Razor's absence. Maybe a little bit of that is also with having the ability to talk to your coach literally whenever you want. So there are some bright spots for this team, even if literally nobody expects them to win this game except Cookies, then maybe there's actually a chance for them to come out on top.
Hey, I mean, like you said it yourself though, Jacob, like people are starting to set up. Like Mirage has been, Marmalade rather, has been playing really well. She's certainly done a lot in terms of stepping up, getting frags as well, being the person that takes a little bit more of an aggressive stance on the team as well. So it's almost good for a squad like that too, that is still very much finding itself to go through some of these sort of tumultuous times too, because when you kind of push these players to be a little bit outside of their comfort zone, maybe you kind of find that you can do a little bit more than you thought you could maybe, huh?
You know what's funny? Actually, you talk about comfort zones. I actually asked Melted about it because you see the player cam right now. He's not smiling, laughing right now. But last week, this dude, he was after he got the 3K, I think it was opening round against Beacos. He gets 3K, and then his team kind of chokes and trolls or whatever, and it comes down to like a 2v2, and then him and I think it was Benji, they run into a Capcan trap, right?
They
get double killed. Yep. And you know what they were doing on the player cam? They were laughing, giggling, and in a silly, goofy mood. And you know what that shows me? They're looking a lot more comfortable than normal, probably because of the circumstances.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely aids a player like Melted, because you're coming in your first season like this. Your heart's about to bust out of your chest in your first games or whatever.
Yeah.
And when you're laughing and you're smiling, it definitely helps remove that feeling and helps you play a little better.
Yeah, positivity is definitely something that's been in no short supply for Mirage too. And for a team in their position, that's definitely something that favors you quite a bit. Now, on the other side of the arena over there in Las Vegas is going to be Parabellum, a team, again, kind of fighting for relevance. A team that has shown some pretty great stuff, some pretty solid, tight gameplay, but they just haven't seemed to be able to break through in any category to become an elite team in NAL just yet.
I'd say they're well on their way. I think this is still reminiscent of the Parabellum team that won relegations. It's not super far removed. It's still Penguin's overall, like, the strategical brainchild. It feels like he does have the components around him to concoct a team that will eventually do good things in the NAL. I do think that this stage overall was about survival. They understood that this wasn't going to be their last lineup. They have changes that they're already probably looking forward to for stage 2, and it was a case of see if we can't get out of the stage with maybe some SI points, maybe a decent placement, and then we'll kind of go from there. Because when you have as big of a change as you do, not having Spirits, not having Melted on the team, the guys that got you to this position to begin with, you needed to find a way to adapt around that. And this is a good test bench to know what you do when you don't have your superstar fragger, how you work somebody into a lineup on a temporary basis, and go from there. Like, this was a fantastic learning stage from PB. Even though they find themselves with the same amount of points as TSM down to like 7th, 8th place currently, they've got the chance to still come away from this stage with something in spite of those unfortunate circumstances that played them before the stage even began. So if you're PB, heads held high, even if you don't win this game, and you still got Kirby as your coach, then
I was going to say,
you'll be able to
back
work
there.
through it. Yeah.
He's just trying to inhale the skill from the other team, spit it back out.
He is VBM. In VBM's absence, because he can't be here, Kirby is the stand-in. Hopefully VBM's able to join this team very soon.
See, so are we going to get maybe a Kirby situation? Are we going to see this team sort of take on the personas of other teams in the league? Take their powers and use them as
Why
their
not,
own if
man?
they were? A little bit Kirby, a little bit of Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. Either way, something that might benefit Parabellum. Cookies, what do you think? Where do the strengths in this squad lie right now?
It definitely still lies in the brains, Penguin. I mean, listen, they have all this tumultuous roster, whatever. I don't know if, I mean, personally, I don't know if you get rid of Wimpy yet. Wimpy's kind of had some high highs.
I guess we'll find out.
That's the question.
I mean, that's a whole.
Let's talk
that's a
about
whole
Wimpy,
nother-
actually. We got some stats to look at, and because this is one of the bigger conversations, right? You talk about playing for your job. You talk about what you can do coming in this situation. Wimpy has had his ups and downs, but overall, I feel like it's fairly positive.
I think so. We need to remember that this is Wimpy's last game overall because Blaz's visa has been approved. So why don't we take a look at how he's done thus far? -10 on KD doesn't matter too much simply because of what he's been playing. I feel like he had a very, very strong start to the stage and has kind of tapered off a little bit as time goes on. Still the second highest rated player on the team at a .98 currently, but he's the kind of guy you probably would expect to do a little bit more. He's playing Zoph, he's still trying to work on his own entry engagement so far. He's been in 16 of them, and somehow they're still not coming away with enough wins. His entry engagements still look like they're in the position they want to be. He's staying alive, he's wrecking havoc on defense, he's playing what he needs to. He's one of the guys that I feel like Parabellum knew they could kind of throw anything at him and he'd be able to come out the other side doing something. His skill was already warranted in Challenger League. They knew they'd be able to mold Wimpy essentially into whatever they wanted. So if you were looking for a good resume stage, I think you found it. If you're a team out there, whether it's high-level Challenger League or someone else in pro play, I think Wimpy has done enough to prove he is deserving of staying at this level, regardless of what the outcome of this game is, regardless of how anything else shakes out. He's already done what he came here to do, which is prove he is the best damn sub you could hope for.
Well, fair enough. Wimpy with one last map here to prove himself, to kind of complete that resume, as it were, for other teams that might want to make some changes down the road. But we are ready to see where we're going. The map has been chosen. The bans have come in. Cookies, Jacob, let's see what happens.
I mean, again, this one doesn't matter too much just because of this. The stakes for both teams is literally, is Mirage going to stay down there in 10th place, or can they get 1 point back up? So I do think both teams still want to take this game, at least semi-seriously because of the stakes involved. Yeah. But you'll look towards Parabellum. This is where their map bans are going to matter a little bit more than Mirage's. They'll take Clubhouse off the board. That's practically been a permaban for them since the stage began, and even before then, we've kind of seen
their Clubhouse is very shaky.
Yeah,
I'll just leave it at that.
What else are they good at, though?
They're good at perhaps having a map that is in the final 3 or 4 here that they aren't necessarily, showing that they're willing to play at this stage.
There it is, Oregon.
that they've banned it literally every chance they've had so far.
Yeah, they've banned every chance. So let me tell you something about their Oregon, right? It has the same effect as their other maps. You're going to see stuff you don't typically see in terms of roams, in terms of attacks. And guess what? That's pretty damn strong for something that's considered an auto ban if you're going to be able to just throw your opponent off. like that.
Yeah, that's
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I'm Mirage, they have nothing on that. Mirage is a team that thrives on preparation and whatnot. What do you have to watch?
And the last time Mirage played this map, they lost it. So
True enough. Well, no more speculation. Actually, I take that back. It's time for speculation. It's time for predictions. First, let's hear from our caster. It's going to be Pengu, and once again, Jonah joining us for the final week of the NAL. How you doing over there? Have you made your decision yet?
Thanks, Doa. I think I've made up my mind. I don't think this one has too much going on behind the scenes, as much as this newfound Mirage with their lightheartedness and just the fun they've been having. As much fun as that is to watch, I don't know if picking them is the safest bet.
I agree, and they've shown improvement, I would say, over the course of this stage so far. But I wouldn't say that they're ready for the task of Parabellum. I don't think they're ready to finish on the victory, unfortunately, this time around either. So I have to go with PP as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go with PB as well. Of course, my Challenger League boys, got to support them, got to love them. And I do think that, honestly, they are the stronger team over Mirage right now. There is something on the line here, right? They are fighting for those SI points. I don't think Parabellum are going to let this opportunity slip away.
Bro, you were talking earlier about you really wanted to pick Parabellum for a game from earlier, and you didn't think you could do it because of how good their opponent was, but you did it.
I did it.
You kept your promise.
Wonderful. All right, well, let's hear what the analysts have to say. Jacob, who's it going to be?
It'll be Parabellum. Unfortunately,
All
this
right.
is the kind of battleground I think, in spite of it being an auto ban, they can still thrive in. And Mirage, again, if they were going to win any of their games while having a coach sub in, I think they kind of already got that victory last week. So
could be.
I don't think they're going to do it against Parabellum today.
All right, Cookies, real quick, who you got?
I echo that sentiment, Mr. Caliber. Also, you know, Parabellum's good at these off maps like this. I think in this situation, I think they're going to have stuff that Mirage is just simply not ready for. Parabellum all day.
Fair enough. Well, here
Seal
we go.
bias.
Only the coin remains to choose. It's going to be on the left, heads, which will be Mirage. On the right, Parabellum, which will be tails. Let's go ahead and flip it.
Please be heads, please be heads, please be heads, please be heads.
It is heads, actually.
Let's go.
The coin says Mirage. You never know. You never know. I'm just saying it's possible. Let's check out the community poll, see what you have to think about as we get ready to go into this one. The question is, who will be the kings in the north? Will it be Mirage or Parabellum? Either way, kings in the north traditionally, you know, if we're talking to Game of Thrones, it's a rough spot to be in. But that's not for us to decide. That's for you to think about as we take this short break. When we come back, the match gets started. Mirage versus Parabellum coming right up here on R6 NAL.
And I lost my control in just one tiny second. You do to me what I've seen in the movies, but this really happening. My mind explodes. I can feel my bones shaking to the beat of my bleeding heart. An overload. Don't know how this goes, but I'm pretty sure you just made my world stop. I can't believe
It's Mirage versus Parabellum, and Nick, while there may not be a major spot on the line, there is still something very important at stake, and that is SI points. Both of these teams in the hunt for those points, and they want to make sure that they stay out of 9th and 10th place, because if they do, they get some points towards 6th Invitational.
Absolutely, and you might not think about it that much now because there's such a long time until Invitationals, but these points add up, right? So you want to get as many as possible, as quickly as possible, and just build upon that throughout the entirety of the year so that when Invitationals comes around in February, you're in a good position to attend that tournament because that's where everybody wants to be if you're a player.
Right, and obviously we've talked about Mirage and some of the troubles facing their roster. Losing Razor, of course, is, well, not going to help their prospects going forward. But what they showed us last week is that even without Razor, their top-performing player so far this stage, they can still put up some pretty solid numbers, and they can have a pretty fun time, right? They're able to take down Beast Coast, and as humiliating as that was for Beast Coast, I'm sure it was a blast for Mirage to get that victory and put themselves in a position where now they do have a chance to fight for those points, and to put themselves over Parabellum here would be a great accomplishment.
It would be, and you can almost say that with Razor being gone, the team plays more together because there's no longer that star player to kind of carry them forward. It's a full team effort, and last time Mirage played this map, they played a ton of Blitz, so I was curious to see if that was going to be a ban from Parabellum, but no, it'll be a basic Thatcher. I was going to say a Thatcher ban, so keeping things cool and simple. You know that Parabellum are quite well versed in Oregon. We see Mirage, they lost the last time they played it, but it's a map that I think every team in the NL can play quite well.
Right, even though we haven't seen these teams play Oregon much, they do have a lot of experience on it in the past. We know Parabellum is very good here. That's actually how they got themselves into the NAL in the first place. They beat XZ as part of that relegation game on Oregon. Mirage playing this one against Astralis 2 games ago. Of course, that was still when they did not have Razor. We saw a lot of blitz come out, a lot of creativity come out for the roster as a whole in the way they approached the map. But at the end of the day, they were not able to take that one. 7-2, they ended up losing to Astralis. But going against Parabellum now, starting on the attacking side, they've got the opportunity to set the rhythm and show us what kind of game they want to play. Already we've got some hints at what that play style is going to be. We've got Gara pulling out the blitz, or at least teasing us with it for now.
Yeah, he is. So that is a big question. But a Tiger repick in the game, of course, he could go off this operator. Right now, he's actually showing blitz, a Tiger repick into blitz, which is like the double blitz, I guess. For basement, this is a pretty stellar operator going for those blue rushes, those fast attacks, whereas on any of the bomb side, then the basement, typically we don't see the blitz actually going through because it's a very difficult operator to bring due to the crossfires and the verticality, etc. But so far, Gara showed that he wants to stick it. Could indicate multiple things, but a blue rush, of course, might be on the menu.
Right, Parabellum going to the basement to kick off round number 1. So like you said, a blue rush, we could very well see that from Mirage if they elect to just pummel it on through. But Parabellum, they are not a stranger to that type of strategy. They actually, back in the day, tended to bring out the very same play with a blitz through blue, just sending it on in. That was like something they like to bring out in Challenger League. Maybe once or twice per game, they would surprise a defensive team with that. So I imagine, given the circumstances from Mirage, given what they know and how this map works, they're going to be on their toes for a play like that. I don't think they're going to let it slip by. And right now, Mirage, they're not indicating that at least a rush with the blitz is the plan. We can see Tomas working his way in on that top floor. You've got some players working their way in from that showers corridor side of the map and working their way across. So it seems like, at least for now, they're taking their time.
It is, and this is obviously, look at the top of the screen, we see 9 drones alive from the side of Mirage, so making quick work of the injury points throughout the entirety of the map. Tomas instantly in top floor, doing video play on laundry stairs. Now Gara and the Blitz also helping him clear out the remainder of the top floor. Melda is second kitchen, Benji is injury droning for him, and that means Mirage in just a minute has taken full map control, but Gara peeking down the laundry stairs, or freezer stairs, excuse me, all alone, takes a bit of damage, but gets away with his life.
Great use of the yokai drone there from Wimpy, employing the stuns that the drone has to delay Gara and prevent him from taking that freezer position. Really good job, at least, at stalling out this Mirage attack, slowing down their control that they're able to take of at least that basement site. They've taken map control because Parabellum hasn't contested that heavily, but Parabellum are not just about to let them walk into the basement for free.
No, they're not. I mean, we got the Hibana open on Marm, so that means all the hatches will be opened up. We get 3 extra flash spins that normally we don't see. We have 4 grenades available available, and of course the Blitz with the smoke grenades. This means Mirage, they have all the tools, all the utility to go for any sort of attack they want to. Right now their goal is to clear out those Goyo canisters because that fire lasts for 20 seconds, and you don't want that to be an issue once the execute comes out. So we're in stage 2 of the round. This is the setup. Gonna try to figure out where we can go, but see, they're already in, going super fast.
Yeah, here they come, just sending it through Laundry, through the rotate, into Closet, into Supply, and taking gunfights. Wimpy, though, for Parabellum, will pick up 2 kills, taking down both Gera and Melted, but the diffuser, it was stuck in the meantime, and with 2 kills from Tomas, this one just became a fair fight. It's now an even 3v3. In a post-plant, Parabellum have to step up and move. Creators and Eska, they'll do so beautifully, taking down Tomas and Marmalade. That will leave Benji all alone to defend against 2 more. He's got eyes on this diffuser, a perfect spot to cover this, but unfortunately, if he doesn't swing out and get around the corner, actually, Wimpy's going to be able to stick this, and it looks like that plant spot actually may have cost them the round. Benji just could not get the angle on that diffuser he wanted. It was actually on the other side of the wall by the rotate. Caught me a little bit off guard.
Yeah.
I thought he could see that diffuser because it wouldn't have made a ton of sense for him to stay in freezer with that diffuser out of position.
It almost seemed as if Benji thought himself that the diffuser was in fact on the opposite side of the pillar, because when he swung the corner, he's like, wait a minute, that's not what the diffuser's planted. I need to sprint in now. So it might have been a miscommunication or a lack of communication from the side of Mirage. They got themselves in that position. They actually skipped that step 2 sort of where they were setting up. They did not make it obvious at all when they were going to be going. We got caught up by surprise, which means that most likely Parabellum 2 were caught off guard by the fact that Blitz just rushed into the launcher rotate in the middle of the bomb site. But, you know, sure, plant went down, but arguably in a pretty weak post-plant position. Didn't leave Benji up for the task to succeed out in that clutch because his position was not that great in that 1 vs 2 position.
Well, Benji is a player that I know over the course of the last 4 weeks we've talked a good bit about, but coming into this final Playday, you know, he is the player on Mirage actually underperforming, I'd say, the most, right? At the bottom of the overall team leaderboard, Melted overtaking him thanks to a fantastic performance from him in their game against Beast Coast. But Benji in particular, you'd think that he would have a little more ability to frag on this team. He's been here before. The stage is a familiar place for him. He's got the experience and he's got the fragging roles to allow him to succeed. But right now, everyone on his team is finding a way to outperform him, and it's something that, well, he's going to have to address going forward.
No, it certainly is. Benji right now, statistically speaking, is minus 25 on kills. He is plus 2 on injury, of course, but he has the lowest rating of his entire team, even below Gera, who's only played 2 games himself, on a 0.73 rating so far for Benji. So it's been a rough season, but he, of course, still has this 1 game to make it up a little bit and show that there's still some light for next stage.
Well, some light for Mirage in this round a couple moments ago. The opening kill was found. That one melted onto Penguin, finishing off the mute early, removing a C4 from the board here. So a valuable early pick to start off the round for Mirage, especially attacking this top floor bomb site. You want to avoid those pesky C4s and those pesky defenders who like to sneak down around in kitchen and dining, rotate around through Z, and deny the plant from below. This time, Parabellum, they're going to have to contest this head on. No more C4s or explosive potential in pocket.
Yeah, and you got Gera on the nuke, which means that he can flank anywhere on the map at all times, and you have to be worried about that. Nathan below going out. Tomas spent both of his, Melted as well. It means just 1 nade is left on Gera, who's not in a position to use them. Melted on the white side gets smoked out, has to back off, cannot get aggressive just yet. But this means that Mirage, they're burning utility from the side of Parabellum, and they have so much more time to work with. 1 minute and 15 seconds left on the clock. They can take their time. They don't have to rush their decisions here. Played well, played smart.
Mirage are doing a great job, though, of applying early pressure to the bomb site, both in round 1 and now in round 2. All 3 of Kool-Aid's smokes have been forced to be used here, and Kool-Aid having, well, no utility left, he'll just take the fight on the double window. The FMG9 will find his first kill onto Benji. He looks for a second one here, but like you said, Gera sneaking in from behind, catching creators off guard and opening this one up.
He does. Kool-Aid now inside Esk inside the master bedroom. They're isolated so far from one another. Now the push comes through. They don't know the positioning. Esk finds both.
Marmalade down. Eska now in a 1v1, trying to spray onto Melted here. He's got a triple, but, well, he's got to find one more. There's 25 seconds for Melted to possibly recover this diffuser and get the bomb down, but it's not going to be easy with Eska playing close on this breach. Melted will relocate, just try to get this one down early to force Eska to step up. He'll just come sprinting the way through, so Melted will hop off the plant, step up, take the fight, and Eska is there to win it. Well played from him. That is a quad kill to finish off the round. And, well, that is one way to take it. Parabellum making quite a comeback. Eska really putting in the work.
Oh boy, and Eska, I mean, his rounds and his clutch in this round started in Master Bedroom, so far away from his teammates, so far off the bomb site itself, but you can almost argue that that awful positioning from his end was actually the reason why they became the victors of the round, because Mirage, they were sprinting past him inside of Trophy, not having any idea as to where Eska might be, because why would he be inside of Master Bedroom when you had a Rooney on that Trophy next to Armory Stairs, where Gera found him earlier walking past the camera as the Nurk, so worked out in their favor. And now we're just going through the bomb sites, right? Started in basement, went to Kid Storms, and now we are in meeting and kitchen bomb site for Parabellum.
Yeah, 2 rounds in a row, though, for Parabellum, and that last one for
close.
Mirage. Yeah, it's been close, but that last one, I mean, it's got to sting a little bit. It looked like Mirage had the play, right? They had Gera sneaking up the stairs, getting the kill from behind those Armory stairs. Totally surprising Parabellum, but I mean, you give it up to Eska. Actually, coming into the day, he was tied with Iconic for the most clutches out of everyone in the NAL, and that one may have just put him over the top. So he may be now better in terms of clutches than Iconic, which is surprising to say, but very impressive, you know, for someone on Parabellum. They just haven't had as many chances to thrive, and I guess when on the back foot, when backed into a corner, that's where Eska just pops off. He's got 6 kills already.
Yeah, it does. It's a great start for him so far. And honestly, throughout the entire stage, the one name that, you know, rings the biggest bell in my head from the side of Parabellum is Eska. He's had like a 1 vs 4 post-plan against Sonics on Chalet. He's had multiple 1vx's, plants, etc. His post-plan positioning in general, when Parabellum is on the attacking side, is something that really brings home the caliber of his play so far. And Wimpy, also a great name that we speak about a lot, because this is his last game possibly in this roster. He's a stand-in for Parabellum as they're waiting for Blast's visa. He now finds the opening kill onto Tomas. The sledge is off the board.
Yeah, good start there from Wimpy. He'll likely look to follow that one up, or at least Parabellum will be looking to follow that one up, because Kool-Aid and Creators, you can see them, they are playing, you know, somewhat aggressively over on this tower side. This is a tough bomb site to defend, a tough bomb site to extend on as well, but both Kool-Aid and Creators will seem to be undertaking this dangerous task. Gera just walks in. Marmalade will take down Kool-Aid, but quickly traded. Creators following that one up with 1, looking for the second, but Melted will not be fragged that easily. Creators thinking twice now and starting to back off, but, well, a bizarre turn of events when Mirage just decided to send it on in, and Parabellum, well, they'll come out on top. Now they're in a 4v2.
Gotta check your corners, right? You can't just walk past the corner and expect it to be clear, because there might just be a Kool-Aid there waiting for your demise. But a trade back and forth heavily favors Parabellum, because it's now 4 vs 2. Minute and 10 left. Once again, they're being fast, but C4 comes off on Penguin, who finds the side of Melted.
That's a great read from Penguin, taking down Melted, and now Benji just has to figure this one out all by himself. Has some pressure to deal with up above. That's Eska going for a bit of an attic pressure. He's got 3 players to deal with down below as well. This is not going to be easy. He will have the diffuser in pocket, so that's something. He could potentially relocate to the kitchen side of things if he wants to maybe surprise Parabellum here, but right now it's just a matter of sitting back and waiting for Parabellum to swing him. You've got Parabellum defenders just throwing bodies at him at this point, swinging from stage, swinging from kitchen, and it is Penguin who's swinging from stage who ends up picking up that kill, but somebody was bound to take him down at some point. It just happened to be Penguin, and it just so happens that Parabellum are now up 3 in a row.
Fighting all players from all angles in that end of the round. That's unfortunate. We see Gera walking through the green hallways before it comes out, and that's a bit of an unfortunate round again for Mirage, where a very simple, small element of the round goes, you know, against them, and then it all falls apart, right? They lose 2 players off that play. They lost the opening pick as well, and then they're just in this position where you have to clutch out 2 vs 4 or 2 vs 5, and it's just not optimal whatsoever. That means now with PP winning that 3rd defense, or going through that 3rd bomb site at least, you know, basement's opened up once again because of that site rotation, and this is where defenders get favored even more. Gera is showing the blitz once again, but it's the only real attacker repick player with a big impact has to be the coach right now. The blitz, the Monty now back on the blitz, melted his stick on Iana. He's been doing great on it so far in this game and the previous one that Mirage played, but no one else is really using the attacker repick too much in this situation. And it's arguably fine because you have really high value operators off the Hibana, off the Sledge, and off the Iana, but I am curious if Mirage needs a more wow factor in this matchup.
Well, I like that you mentioned wow factor, Nick, because for Mirage, that's really all they are trying to rely on right now. Without that structure, losing Razor and just kind of trying to finish out the stage with their heads held high, they're just trying to wow their opponents, surprise them, outgun them, outfrag them, and just, you know, take gunfights and win them. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And unfortunately for Mirage on Oregon, it's not easy to do if the defensive team is forcing you to play structured. I mean, if you think of a map like Border, you think of a map like Cafe, even though that one is and can be quite structured, both of those maps can devolve very quickly into just gunfights, frags, the whole thing. But on Oregon and the way Parabellum are playing this right now, they're just trying to force Mirage to play a slow, disciplined game. Yeah. And with this roster right now, the problems they've been having, they're just not quite as capable to play that style given what's going on.
Yeah, and I would say it's Parabellum, as you mentioned, doing a really good job at, you know, kind of playing into the weak side of Mirage, not giving opening kills, not playing alone. I mean, every single member of PP are in the basement, and sure, Eska's on the staircase looking for a drone, but outside of that, we're really playing far back into the bomb side, not risking losing a man early, and like, as you mentioned, really forcing Mirage to play structured into the 5 versus 5 on attack, which favors the defenders themselves on Oregon because you have so many crossfires and so many problems for attackers to solve. And Mirage, they don't have the most experience, right? They're still playing for it, still working their synergy up as a team. No, this entire roster kind of got formed at the very, very last moment before NAL started, so they did have the least amount of preparation going into this stage.
And now that Gera is in the mix, like we've talked about, it's going to be tough to really find and mesh with your coach as much as it would be with one of your players, someone who has been a core part of this roster. But here in round 4, they're going to be trying to, well, work with Gera again, work with that blitz and try to force him down Freezer, it seemed. Maybe he'll rotate around this time and position elsewhere. Yes, he's actually changed his mind, and maybe he'll head over to Tower or the blue side of things. We're yet to see that, but we will see how Mirage want to build up this Freezer pressure. Obviously, last time, this was a big crux of their attack, right? They tried to establish this crossfire and get that pressure building up in Laundry.
And we see it now, the nades and flashbangs all come out, and the push has to come follow through soon, but where is Gera? He's still standing back, he's so low on HP, can't push through. Tomas gets over and kill, but what's next?
Okay, Tomas gets one, but now Mirage gotta follow it up with some aggression. Benji tries to swing, but gets punished, but Melted will secure that trade. Eska, though, claps back, and here comes Gera, finally on the scoreboard again for the second time, but here comes PB! Wimpy, Penguin, and Eska just clean up Mirage. Out of nowhere, they will swing, taking those gunfights, and just like that, Mirage, now they fall to pieces. Another round for Parabellum. That's 4 in a row.
I would have loved the Ying here for the basement, honestly, if you're Mirage, right? Wow factor. Play the Ying, play the Blitz, create that Chaos Zone, the Dokepi, the Jackal, whichever, because right now, outside of Blitz himself, you're not applying a lot of mental pressure onto the defenders, right? They know you're going to walk on the staircase, either on Laundry, Freezer, or Big Tower, and they know that eventually when you flash and grenade, you're going to push through, but there's no real follow-up outside of, you know, the gunplay. And when you play against PB, when you have a coach as well, you should arguably have less gunfire than your opponent, and that's kind of what we're seeing. PB are just shooting a little bit more straight than Mirage are, finding the kills, finding the openings, trading well off one another, and making it difficult for Mirage to gain any foothold anywhere on the map that they care about, because sure, they can roam clear the entirety of Oregon basement attack, but that doesn't matter if you can't attack the basement bomb site itself.
You know, and this was our concern coming into this matchup, right? Parabellum, they know what's at stake here, and they are not going to let it slip away easily. Obviously, last week, Beast Coast also had a lot at stake. They would have had a shot to fight for a major position today had they beaten Mirage. But unfortunately for them, Mirage playing into that loose style right against Beast Coast's already loose and aggressive style, well, it seemed to have worked. But Parabellum, they're not falling into that trap. They're not playing as loose and aggressive as Beast Coast were, and they're not allowing Mirage to get any ground on them. So despite all the effort Mirage is putting at this, right, whether it is the Nook from Gera, whether it is the Blitz coming out from Gera, or any other aggressive play from this team, Parabellum seem to be just, well, keeping to themselves, you could say, just sitting back and letting Mirage dig themselves into their own hole.
And I do think that this is Parabellum's strength. They're a very smart team. We saw them during CL up towards relegation when they played Exed, the previous roster of Exed that is, to make their spot into pro play. They have a slightly different roster back then, sure. They had more aggressive players, but they can still now with this current roster play a very aggressive style of Siege, very passive style of Siege. They have pocket strats every single round on the attacking side. PB are a joy to watch. And they're showing once again why they are so good at this element of the game. Even though they might not be the top of the NAL, I see a lot of potential for this roster. And Kool-Aid took a bit of a nade damage there. The vertical nades, they're always doing a ton of damage in this era of Rainbow Six Siege. It really is something that we don't see in the past as much. But ever since Invite, maybe a little bit before Invite, so going back to like 2021, this nade meta really became very prevalent. And so did the nuke.
Well, this time Parabellum are not, well, they're not inclined to allow Gera to just walk up the stairs. Creator is going to make sure to provide that coverage, but hold on a minute. Marmalade just jumps in. After downing Kool-Aid, they decide to just go for this plant, but it's going to get quickly denied. Penguin on the swing, though, gets himself traded out. Thankfully for Parabellum, with 3 bodies left, and Tomas, the last player standing, well, they quickly denied a very disjointed execute. Tomas will pick up one, and, well, he's got a chance to maybe secure a second. This is essentially a 1v2 at this point, because Kool-Aid is down and looks to be in a tough spot to recover, but Tomas now having to walk through this crossfire. Well, he's in a tough spot himself.
Tomas?
Wait a second, he gets one more, but unfortunately, at the last second, Creators will swing, just barely winning out that gunfight with the DMR. Tomas gave himself a good fighting chance, but just could not pull it out. It's Parabellum who continue to go flawless here on Oregon.
Yeah, that means 5-0. That also means, Mirage, if you can't find this final attack, you will go onto the defending side once that side swap comes through with no room for a single mistake or a single round can be dropped, because otherwise the game is over. So if you're on Mirage, you need this final attack. Give yourself just a tiny bit of breathing room. Both teams still have the tactical timeout. They can still, pull the lever, slow down. I don't think Parabellum's going to do that because they have no reason to, right? They're up 5-0. They want to keep the momentum. They want to keep this game flowing and going in their favor. But Mirage, when you have your coach inside the server of Gera, do you even want to call a tactical timeout? Because he's right there, and he's obviously calling things out because Gera is now showing us the game. Tomas, for the first time, goes off the sledge onto Buck, so clearly there's a change of plan for this side of Mirage, and I hope so because the last attack they did from Big Tower didn't really go so well.
Well, if we're thinking about overall bomb sites, this one, meeting in kitchen, it's fairly simple if you want to go for a bit of a rush, right? If you want to use those Candelas and enable yourself to just work your way on in, you can maybe get one of those Selmas down on the split wall and work your way in from garage, main lobby, and try to just get a quick plant down like Mirage seems so insistent on doing right now. Yeah. Or you can use that Ying in a more traditional sense, where you will approach from that stage side, open up that tower wall, then use those Candelas to force the defenders back. A lot of options here for Mirage. Eventually, we'll see what they end up choosing.
Yeah, the great thing is that options is what they have, and the operators they have for them enables them to choose freely. They even brought the secondary heartbeats gadget on the side of Gera in case the Ace of Marm falls early on. Still, the soft destruction, of course, melted with the grenades as well. Small tower take so far from 3 players. Gera on the big tower side of things, so a split take so far from Mirage could actually be a bait where you ying from big tower to bait out the attack of meeting, and you push kitchen instead because that's where diffuser is. So keep your eyes peeled. They'll see if Gera rotates because one of those 2 things has to happen.
Well, right now, Gera's positioned right over on that tower side, droning his way up the green hall, potentially examining, if it's possible, to just crouch walk his way up. And unfortunately for him, that plan, well, it will quickly be felled by Kool-Aid or Creators, who are both playing in similar positions as they were last time. But this time, a slight change. Tomas is actually the one to get the opening kill, not Parabellum. He'll take down Wimpy to kick off the round for Mirage in a very positive note, but unfortunately for Gera, you've got Kool-Aid prone in the middle of the doorway to trade that back.
That is such an awful position. If you doubt it, what are you doing on the floor, man? But, a kill's a kill in smart position, it gets favored. Eska up above all alone has to drop down, respect the push coming through, but Marmor's there to catch him off guard.
Yeah, Eska dropping right into the waiting arms of Marmalade, so maybe Eska will think twice before doing that again. Clearly Parabellum feeling quite confident, taking gunfights, and right now, Mirage finally able to punish that, leaving only Creators and Penguin, the last two players alive. Now Penguin pressured and downed. Creators now has to fight this one all on his own in a 1 versus 4. One player close on the split door, that's Marmalade, who goes prone and then sneaks and backs off finally. Going for this bomb down. It's just going to be the swing here from Tomas actually taking that fight on the other side. Well played there from Mirage, but the change in that round, guess what? It was Parabellum finally deciding to get aggressive. That's where Mirage can take those fights, and that's where they can win them.
Yep, the single down 1 versus 1 is where Mirage gets opened up on their attacking side. Tomas and Jackal found the early pick, and that only snowballed further, forcing PP to keep trying to get desperate for all those kills back. And now Mirage, they got the 1 round they needed. They now have a little bit of room to breathe, to make mistakes on the defensive side, but not a ton of room. If they do lose 1 round, we are talking match point situation, but at least now they can lose a round and keep going forward and try and play for a comeback. And we see already now there are some interesting operators, if you'll, as well as there is a community vote.
Yeah, the community poll, who will be the king in the north? It's because, I mean, Mirage or Parabellum. I imagine the community probably leading Parabellum here. I mean, this is a Canadian battle. You got the 2 Canadian orgs coming in to play. Ironically, neither of our wonderful Canadian talent are here with us today, but at least we've got some Canadian teams in front of us to watch. And yeah, it looks like the community is favoring Parabellum, and at least right now, the scoreline would agree with the community.
That it would. I mean, we can argue, of course, that this is a defender-sided map of Oregon. It usually always is. With the operator bands that have gone through, it's not really anything out of the ordinary, which means that, yes, defenders are arguably still favored. And you can argue that, sure, like 1-5 is not the expected outcome, but going 2-4 is actually not unheard of or by any means uncommon when you attack some Mirage. While they are down bad, they're not down as bad as it might look.
Well, the question is, are Parabellum going to continue with that confidence we saw in round 6 that got them into a little bit of trouble, or are they going to slow things down and play a bit more methodical here? Looks like it is going to be at least a top-down clear, the initial plan from Parabellum, and already having a couple of issues with that. The first hiccup is Eska, who has 9 kills so far, not going to be able to contribute any further in round 7 thanks to a well-timed kill from Gara.
Yeah, it's also half your nades gone, leaving only Kool-Aid on the Maverick with 2 grenades left. Sure, you have the Flourish drones. Those Reterra drones can do some damage as well, but typically not player damage. You know, you can destroy shields, utility, etc. Force someone out of a corner, but it's the frag grenades, more than often than not, that will get you explosive kills. And that means now with Mirage finding the opening kill, they have to hold on, right? You cannot now lose Melted on this Freezer stairs. Call somebody next to him to play off his back, trade that 1 versus 1 because you want to keep this advantage if you are Mirage. You cannot throw it back for free.
Yes, they want to keep that advantage, but they also have to be careful if they do just bunker down and play this traditionally. I mean, Parabellum, well, they're a competent team as any. They could seriously just walk their way in, play their game, take some gunfights, and win them. So Mirage likely grappling with this same question. Do they want to sit back, play passive, or do they want to keep surprising this Parabellum attack?
I think you're absolutely right. And we see now Wimpy using those last couple of drones, getting a bit of information. Not a whole lot of damage here. Just people just scatter across the bomb side, trying to away from the explosion. Few drones get shot down, leaving Parabellum with little information. There's only 4 drones are left alive, and some of those are flank drones. Execute will be on Freezer. 2 guys in the hatch, 1 guy on the staircase. Jackal try coming out. We got smokes, flashes, and nades, and Execute should be following shortly as well.
Well, Penguin is rotating around, likely to the laundry side of things. Nope, he'll actually go over to the pillar position. Ready to drop this E-box hatch. It's going to be tough now that Raiders has fallen. It's a 5v3, now a 5v2. Tomas well and ready for the drop. Kool-Aid gets 1, but that is all that Parabellum will see in terms of kills. It'll be Mirage cleaning them up, never letting off the gas pedal since Gara started things off with an opening kill, and you see those smiles. Mirage clearly feeling good.
I want to say Mirage is probably one team that smiles more than any other team, even when they're losing. That's something that I've noticed, where they will be losing around in a silly way or just losing in general, and they'll be smiling, hyping each other up, bringing good vibes. And I think it's very important because if you get into your own head, especially when you are a team in the bottom half of the leaderboard overall, it's only going to lead you down a further hole, right? So, climb out of that hole yourself, and somebody like Tomas being like a yes man, I see him laughing, goofing around doing tactical timeouts. There's like a tech issue somewhere. You see Mirage vibing and cracking jokes all the time, and then we see other team just sit there kind of be like, can the game start again? So, while Mirage might be losing more often than not, they do have arguably some of the best vibes internally, from our point of view at least.
All right, and it really seems like the last week has just been just as maximizing the vibes, right? Just how much can they just have a good time? Can they smile? Can they just be meshing with each other and building that chemistry? And it seems like regardless of the scoreline in any of the matches they've played, they do seem to be having a good time, like you said. So maybe they can replicate that good time here in round number 8. They're going to head upstairs to dorms, much like Parabellum did, starting with basement. Dorms next to rock with their second defense as they hope to bring this back even.
Yep. It's going to be, how does it see, right? I think if you're Mirage, try and play for that same formula where you want to get the opening kill. And it's not that simple as just like, oh, get the opening kill, but try and play for isolated members of Parabellum and just, take them down 2v1, go for a risky 1 versus 1, because when you play the 5v4 and you play together, like Melted right now, just hiding, waiting for a player, that's when we see Mirage actually winning 2 of their rounds. It's not because they clutch it, it's not because their plans were great, it's when they find the opening and then stay together. So this very beginning kill that we might see very soon might just have a massive effect on this round.
Well, Eska is looking to be the player to hunt for that opener. Instead, it is going to be Creators as he gets a kill on the game's window repel, taking down the first player of Mirage, Benji, who's not going to be able to make an impact here in round 8. But Eska now being heavily pressured from the main stairs. The first gunfight is his, the second is his as well. Tomas and Guerra just throwing their bodies into Armory, hoping something can go their way. But Parabellum are not going to allow that one to happen. Eska, he was ready for it.
So it wasn't pretty, but it worked, right? Eska found both kills. I'm sure Melted found one on the main door as well, but leaving Marm alone on side for a brief moment, as well as Melted a sliver of HP, means that Parabellum are very much in the driver's seat. They got drones, they got information, they got good weapons at their disposal. All they gotta do now is play the 4v2 together, and that should be the round for them.
Yeah, Marmalade is on full HP, but not in the easiest position to support her teammate of Melted, who is essentially one shot to everything at this point, including any explosives that Kool-Aid or Eska want to send down range. Wimpy as well, he's got those explosive Rotero drones, and right on cue, Creators will finish off Melted for good. Marmalade strikes back, taking down Kool-Aid, but now finds herself in a 1v3. 1v2 made a little bit easier after her kill onto Eska, but quickly failed a moment after. And now it's Parabellum cracking a couple of smiles here and there, but for now it is game time. They remain serious and they remain poised to take match points.
It's business for them, right? You see it on their faces, and you don't smile until it's over until you win. We got some banter in in-game chat as well, and I feel like this stage in NAL, we've seen so many storylines, so much banter, so many weird moments, anything from like, trash talking chat to people falling off their chairs. It really has been one of those roller coasters of stages where every single person wants to get involved in one way or another, and all the content pieces that we've had so far, player interviews, it seems like everyone wants to be involved, which feels very nice as a talent member, because you can like hit them up like, yo, interview time, they're like, yeah, let's do it, like sick. Whereas in the past, a lot of players seem to be kind of reluctant towards content, where they're like, nah, we just want to focus on playing, we don't really care too much about storylines, but everybody wants to build their legacy right now and what they think that their story should be going forward. And sure, some teams will say, we're going to be the best, and then like they don't do so good. And then some teams say, we're just here to learn, and then all of a sudden they're like the best in the region. So kudos to the teams and the players.
Right, and that's really what this final day, this final play day of Stage 1 is all about, because not all of these games matter for placements. They don't all matter for major contention. There's only one game that will determine if someone is going to the major or if someone is staying home. But these teams, they do want to make that legacy. They want to, make sure their impact is felt. Maybe some bragging rights as well will be a little bit nice. But you head into Stage 2, you head into the off-season with that confidence, with that camaraderie, building the chemistry not only between your roster, but between your opponents as well. I mean, all positive vibes here, it seems like, in this lobby. And Parabellum at 6-2, well, I'm sure they would be happy to close this one out sooner rather than later. But Mirage, you never know. We could see some more surprises and see them hang on. In that last round, the Guerra Tomas run up main stairs plan was certainly a fun one to witness. Maybe we'll see something like that again.
I think the plan and concept was good. We once again see Gera and Tomas play together, so I think they might have like a buddy system where those two players are designated to play with one another. Now Gera falls back with that Goyo canister being blown to pieces, but Tomas is still playing downstairs below, ready to try and get some vertical damage with his C4. It's just a run out instead on the garage wall. That's a great kill to Eska.
Yeah,
Creative
well
play
played.
from Tomas. That's not the C4 I was expecting, but it worked.
Yeah, the C4, you would expect that one to go up to the floor above him and try to kill somebody after they've swung in, but he decided, wait, let me just not even let him swing in at all, and, well, that gets him a kill. Tomas has been down, though, for his troubles, and he may have a tough time getting revived here, but for now, he is still alive and not finished off with Melted nearby. It's not impossible to suggest that, right, he could get saved from below. Gera will make the trek all the way downstairs, rotating around from the tower side. Now picking up his teammate to make sure this stays in a 5v4. But here comes Penguin. Here comes Parabellum. They want to hunt down these two players. But Penguin, he's the one who gets surprised. Tomas pops up with a shotgun, having been granted a second life in this round. Parabellum now, well, they find themselves on the back foot. It's a 5v3.
Question mark? I mean, Gera and Tomas started the round together. They got isolated, they got separated, and then, you know, funny enough, they found each other once again in the basement and get another kill. So 2 times playing together, 2 kills being found. Tomas somehow still alive, Gera finding a kill as well, and this duo right now is 2v5ing Parabellum.
All right, well, Gera heating up here. He's found his 4th kill. Wimpy is going to finally finish off at least one player as he just surprises everybody by working his way into pit. Kool-Aid, though, has been isolated by the Vulcan canister fire, so he'll have to sit back and watch as Mirage swing and kill his teammate and, well, then kill him. So Mirage, look at those reactions. They're just having a blast. Tomas is hyping the team up, Melted with a smile. Gera just chilling over here, and it really just seems like they're having a good time as they take their 3rd round.
Right before we cut to that the Mirage logo and now this screen, we saw Penguin from Parabellum like kind of stand up and like yell towards Mirage. Obviously, we can't hear what he's saying from here, but it seems like there's some back and forth banter between the two teams. And I mean, Parabellum, they know what it's like to play without their, their core roster because they do have Blast on the bench, who was supposed to be their starting 5th player, but because of that visa issue, they had Wimpy instead. Wimpy's been doing a great job for the team, but Parabellum, of course, ultimately want to get their starting 5 with Blast going forward in Stage 2 because their visa has been approved.
Right, they'll be definitely looking to make that happen. But I mean, speaking of Wimpy, we've already talked a little bit about him, but he has made, a very strong impact on this team. He's had a ton of fantastic plays, ton of great moments, and Parabellum, it's just it's unfortunate that they've had the stage that they had. They started off so strong within the first 3 play days. That's where 2 of their wins came from, and since then...
2 of their wins, or
they're
only 2 wins? Yeah.
They're 2 only wins, right. And then they haven't won a game since then, right? So it was 3 days of good stuff, and then, well, it's been a very tough road since then. So it's going to be an uphill battle for Parabellum, right, coming into that next stage to make an impact and to get back on their feet. But it'll be interesting to see what they put together when Blaz steps in and the team really finds its soul again.
And that's the thing about the teams that don't qualify for the Charlotte Majors, that they get more team at home to really hone down what they want to get better at, right? Whether it's synergy or strategy or just like doing tasks and whatnot within the team, they will have a lot of time to prepare in the shadows, whereas all the teams going to Charlotte Major, they're publicly showing, displaying their skills, displaying their strats, and will not have as much downtime to prepare in the shadows when Stage 2 of NEL starts. So Stage 1 has been a little bit messy, right? We don't know what to expect, new rosters, etc., but it sets a very nice tone for what's to come in the future.
I like that. Looking on the bright side for the teams who don't get to go to the
stage.
stage.
You have to.
Right, at least there's some positive.
I mean, look at TSM. They went to Invitationals, they won it, they arguably burned out, they started talking about doing interviews, and they're not playing very well, so breaks and playing in moderation and having downtime is very important for these players and for these teams.
All right, well, with that in mind, Mirage will be looking to... let's say, bring this one back and keep us in this lobby as long as they can, preventing the downtime from starting, right? 3 more rounds for them to take if they want to see overtime and limit Parabellum for getting the full 3 points and maybe getting a couple of points themselves. But right now, Parabellum guaranteed at least 1 and hoping to find a couple of more as they work their way past the 90-second mark in this round. They've got the hatches open. They've got the avenues to approach this site, any and all avenues that you could need.
Yeah, and it seems to be that Mirage taking a play or a strat out of Parabellum's play because they're playing all 5 on side, playing rather passive, opening kill from Tomas once again onto Penguin. He banned off the board, a few flashbangs gone, leaving just 3 grenades. So, sure, there's no Jaeger being played for Mirage, but if there's any magnets still on the board and they're still charging up, that means these grenades will not have any impact because they'll be caught by a disc rather than a player. With a minute to go, PB has to find the opening, but it's once again Mirage who finds a kill, making it hard for them.
It's Melted who finds the scoreboard again. That's onto Kool-Aid. Those nades you talked about, another one will be removed here. So Eska's going to have to make that impact with the frags. And Wimpy coming in from blue, who was initially a little bit of a surprise. Well, his position is now well known from Mirage. An E-box drop coming in from Parabellum will have to change the course of this round, but instead, it just gives Mirage a couple of kills. In fact, they deliver a flawless round against Parabellum to claim another. So much so that Parabellum are going to take a tactical timeout after getting rattled by some strong play from Mirage. I got to say, the vibes from Mirage, as they increase, it seems like so does their hopes in this lobby.
Yep, I mean, Parabellum, they can feel the pressure now saying, okay, boys, we had the lead. It was almost a win. Now it feels like it's kind of slipping away. And I almost want to say, Gera on the Ella might actually been a massive factor of some of these situations because whenever Parabellum starts to hit the bomb site, they find a Grismot mine instead. We see Coach Kirby right now talking to the troops saying, guys, what is going on? Just eat them. Open your mouth wide open and eat your opponents. That's what I do. It works every time. It's actually Blast now. It's not Kirby. This is Blast who has taken control of Kirby's body instead.
In the flesh, Blaz actually finally getting his visa and arriving in Las Vegas for the first time. So good to see Blaz, supporting his boys as Kirby from behind. But right now, all jokes aside, Parabellum are having a little bit of trouble here, right? The creativity that Mirage are throwing at them, as unorthodox as it may be, it's working. It's working quite well, right? And it's not like Mirage are going to stop going with that strategy. They're going to keep bringing on that creativity. You can see the operator selection here, some Thorn and some Capcan coming in.
More traps, essentially, right? Because Gera's been playing the Ella. It's been working so well for them. So they say, you know what? Let's double, triple that up. Let's get more traps on the board. I mean, whether it's kills or wasting time, gaining information, the Thorn and the Capcan will do just that. And Gera on the Ella will continue as well. The shield that Ella brings, the deployable shield, kind of makes up the fact that her gadget's very iffy, whereas Thorn has a great weapon and a deployable shield, but the gadget's a little bit less impactful typically for pro play.
Well, Parabellum, if their decision after that timeout is to slow down and go for a full map clear, well, they're going to have some explosives waiting for them, not only in the form of those EDDs, those entry denial devices from the Capcan of Melted, but he's got the Nitro Cell in pocket. Tomas has a Nitro Cell as well. So they're looking to stall this attack out as much as they can and do as much damage to PB as possible, just as they clear out this map. They probably assumed that after going through that timeout, Parabellum will want to slow things down and force Mirage to play their game. Mirage saying that, okay, well, if you want to play that game, we're going to have a couple of surprises in store for you.
Normally when PB takes a timeout, it really favors them as far as my memory goes because they get to, we said this earlier, they're a structured team who knows what they want, and when they get the time, like a full minute to talk about that, we do expect PB's following round, which is this one, to have a very, very clear-cut plan and a very clear-cut execution. And the obvious that we see right now hints towards, as well as the positioning, the big tower area, right? And it's hard for defenders to challenge back. You don't have as many zoom scopes, your weapon's a little bit worse on the defensive side, unless you get a C4 kill, unless you get a frisky kill like this one with a nice angle from Melted with the 1.5x, it's going to be hard to defend this bomb site because naturally the bomb site works against you. It's a tertiary bomb site. You're not supposed to win this one if you're a defender.
Oh my god, his position isn't known. Kool-Aid just walks up with a nade in hand and gets fried because Melted was not droned or spotted out. Melted is not giving up this position either. He could drop away down E-box if he feels he's pressured, and as he does, he'll actually back all the way off into the backside of meeting by split rather than dropping away or taking any more gunfights. Gera, though, has been taken care of downstairs, and that's going to free up Parabellum to get this bomb down. Penguin sticking this. Mirage know they've got to step up. You can see them scrambling into action, and here it goes. They're getting these kills. Benji and Melted will find the scoreboard. It's Wimpy and Creators, all that remain to hold this down in a post plant. They'll get 2 first really good downs, taking down Tomas and Marmalade. Benji and Melted now hunting for these kills, all up to Melted. His C4 gets shot out. He'll tempt the res, now go for these peaks, but he knows he's got to swing 2 different players, and Parabellum, they won't lose those again. They will eventually take the win 7-4. Took them a minute, but they got the job done.
They did, and that's again that tertiary bomb site, unless you have a C4 from down below or some sort of way into the round. The opening kill was great, found by Melted, but it's not enough because the moment he fell back towards the bomb site, you can just walk on in, start planting. Creators down below had the angle covered. There was no C4 from Electric Hatch. That meant the plant was safe. And of course, we all know that Parabellum plays amazing post-plant positions. They established the crossfire, played that 2 vs 4 quite well, got 2 endures, leaving it to a 2v2, which they then won. So well done to them. Timeout worked out, as they always do.
Yeah, Parabellum using those timeouts well, and with that regulation win, getting the full 3 points, that will guarantee them a spot in at least the SI points. They're not going to be in 9th or 10th. They're not going to be pointless. It's unclear which team, them or TSM, will actually end up with more SI points, but right now, Parabellum have guaranteed them at least some. We are going to break this one down a little bit further as we toss things back to our analyst desk, but of course, a quick break before we get there. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on a roll. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, hey, on a roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on a roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
The bar raising, we keep moving it up. Ain't no surprises here, they knew it was us. Apologies if I was doing too much, but I always came through in the clutch. I got faith restored, why you pushing the brakes? I ain't full of myself, boy, I'm full of mistakes. I came from humble and roots, I'm here to stand and deliver. Had no one gassing me up, except the man in the mirror. I used to work on my handles, and now it's handles of liquor. I write these songs in a dark room, the candle will flicker. I stay practicing heavy, for when the game's on the line. It's like over and over, I run the plays in my mind. I'm a psycho, I'm taking my time. Rushing perfection is a dangerous crime. You gotta give it and take it. That's what you do till you make it. I had to roll with the punches and take the hits from the flagrants. I'm saying the bar raising, we keep moving it up. And no surprises here, they knew it was us. Apologies if I was doing too much, but I always came through in the clutch. An off game don't mean I'm losing my touch. And no excuses, I ain't using a crutch. Apologies if I was doing too much, but I always came through in the clutch. I was falling, had me start. dry erase. I'm doing what I can to fuel the flame like a fireplace. To make a bunch of money, buy my mama a fireplace. We make incredible songs to celebrate and get mad lit. Once upon a time in Hollywood, I'm like Brad Pitt. My homies say I live a life, yeah, just a tad bit. Learning how to move in this rap shit. I told them that the bar raising, we keep moving it up. And no surprises here, they knew it was us. Apologies if I was doing too much, but I always came through in the clutch. An off game don't mean I'm losing my touch. And no excuses, I ain't using a crutch. Apologies if I was doing too much, but I always came through in the clutch.
We are back here at the Rainbow Six North American League. Doa Jacob Cookies with you at the desk, and over in Las Vegas we have none other than Wimpy from Team Parabellum getting the win today. Wimpy, here you are. Welcome to the post-match interview. You've played a whole stage now with Parabellum, and although your spot seems to be temporary at the moment, give me kind of a breakdown of your experience playing here in the NAL. How's it been?
It's been very good. I've been playing against these guys for years in CL and even like underage T3. So actually being able to play against them in like the highest tier is phenomenal. It feels very good and fun to play.
Cool.
And Wimpy, I mean, these are, as you said, your former peers. Why do you feel that you are perhaps, deserving of staying? I personally, Wimpy, I think you should stay. I think you're the GOAT. Why do you think you should stay?
I mean, I don't want to have an ego or anything, but I think I can compete in this league, compete in this tier, and I've been able to do it for the past couple of years. So I would like to stay the least, and play, but we'll have to see what happens.
Overall, because we knew about the whole Parabellum situation, but then you get brought into the fold, and it seems like initially you're a fantastic fit for the squad. It doesn't feel like you're necessarily playing solo kind of for yourself. It still feels like you're very with the rest of the squad. So if you had to grade your own performance, your own expectations leading into it, and then how you feel now, how do you think you did this stage, and was it kind of up to snuff with what you wanted?
It's definitely not what I wanted. I would have liked to obviously win out or just make the major. That would have been incredible. However, personal stats, I had a pretty rough week last week, which kind of wasn't too good. But however, the rest of the stage was pretty well, considering the roles I'm on, the ops I'm playing, depending on maps, all that such. But I feel I could have played better, definitely. But I don't think I played bad at all.
All right, I definitely agree with that. So one more quick question before we let you go here. So like we were talking about, a stage under your belt, obviously it's a little bit different playing in the big leagues versus some of your other experience, whether or not the caliber is there. So I'm kind of curious, what's the thing that you learned playing in NAL that you're most surprised about, basically, where something that you didn't expect to kind of have happen, you didn't expect to kind of learn? What was the kind of surprising thing you experienced this stage?
Probably the biggest thing is discipline wins games. From being in Challenger League compared to this, it's quite different. So figuring out when to peak, when to hold, stuff like that, it's a big difference. And it's a win or loss. Instantly, you'll know. It's big difference.
Fascinating. Okay, cool. So yeah, discipline win games. I think that's a great bit of advice for everybody out there on the ladder, as well as for everyone out there trying to aspire to get into Pro League. But I think you've proven yourself. I think you proved you deserve a spot here for sure. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us, and good luck in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good
one. Let's go, Wimpy! I really do hope that no matter what happens, he does manage to find his way onto a roster in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, what we mentioned it before, this was the kind of proving ground where you're able to prove that you have not only the skill, but he mentioned the discipline, which I think matters a lot. We've seen what the Parabellum house looks like on Twitter over the past month or so, but it still feels like they're able to use that experience. They're able to grow not just as players, but as people when they're all together in an environment like that. So hey, if you need a player down the road, look at Wimpy if he's not playing on this Parabellum team come stage 2.
Fair enough. So here we got the stats. Positive kill to death with Wimpy. A little bit close. But Cookies, anything else jump out at you?
I guess as we're on the topic of discipline, I mean, towards the end of this game, Parabellum was leading quite decisively. Now, you notice and maybe things get a little sloppy, things don't get droned, things don't get checked, or whatever. That's kind of been the problem with them going back to Challenger League is, yes, I think they're 100 billion% going the right direction strategically and in terms of the mental side of the game, but it's just it's the discipline sometimes with them. It's almost like they know what they're doing so much that they almost manage to throw it away.
Almost like they skip some steps at sometimes.
Yeah, so
I think part of it too is
that.
Yeah, I mean, part of it too is Mirage can be surprising. Like, they can be surprising in terms of the crossfires they can set up, the shots they can hit.
I didn't think they'd win 4 rounds today. Like,
yeah, I mean, the thing is like this team there is something there, right? It didn't fully emerge this stage, to say the least, but there is, I think, if you're a Mirage fan out there, some hope for the squad down the road.
I think so for sure, and I'm loving how they decided to take upon themselves within those first 5 rounds or so. They were like, there is a little bit of individual skill we have to rely on because it was Eska going crazy. There were some moments like that where it's not sustainable to keep playing that way, but they still managed to make it work out in the end. So the discipline is something you have to work on, but at the same time, this was invaluable experience this stage to kind of get up to where they need to be.
So speaking of Eska going crazy, we have a round to show you, and it is quite the round. I believe this was round 2 in this series, and this was Eska kind of coming up clutch for sure.
He's doing what he did. Like I mentioned from before, it felt like we don't really talk about Eska all that often, but this round specifically, we're playing upstairs, and he is all by himself in master bedroom in spite of there being one defender along with him. This is an example of Mirage not being diligent enough to make sure that they have all the angles cleared. They don't know that he's still stuck inside master bedroom by himself. They think they cleared the Aruni, there's no one else watching that position, and then suddenly 2 kills over top of the shield immediately. It feels like he can kind of flick back and forth to whatever he needs, finishes off a downed player, and then it's just a matter of impeccable game timing. Him versus Melton. In any realistic scenario, Melted is at a disadvantage the longer he has to wait to get that diffuser down. So he will go back once he has a basic understanding or thought about where he knows this last defender to be, give a shot to get that diffuser down, gives it one more try, and then goes back for a swing, knows he has to make the push because there's just not time left, and Eska is right there to clean up. Technically 3 kills because he didn't get the down on Marmalade over Big Window, but that's Eska. That's what he's able to do in a nutshell. Remember back when he was the 3rd highest overall rated player at SI from 2 years ago? He still got it in the bag.
I remember it almost too much now.
I remember those watch parties at 3 in the morning.
Too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
I will say there was also another round where he was in armory and he held the flank against 40 players from Mirage charging at him.
I was literally screaming, dude, turn down your sends. You look too jittery. You've had too many energy drinks before the game, but he still made it work.
Spray and pray, as they say, right? Well, there's something interesting going on over in the arena in Vegas right now. Something a little bit different from the norm, from the X-Set roster right now. They're all in suits.
What?
They're ready to, I don't know. They're ready
to,
God. Sing in a choir.
And then Fox is just there with them.
What's Fox doing?
What is hanging out too?
Oh my God, the drip.
Oh, and the sandals as well. All right, well, it's going to be an interesting one, to say the least.
This might be the craziest video I've ever seen.
No, this is live.
It is. Yes, this is happening right now.
Wait,
in Las Vegas.
They have to play in that drip. All of them need to play with the suits on for this game. What is happening right now?
It looks like they kind of like swimsuits going on down there, so maybe not like Reservoir Dogs, like Reservoir Frogs instead. I don't know. I don't know what we're looking at here, but we'll digest it over a short break. When we come back, it's going to be Oxygen versus X-Set. It's going to be fire. It's going to be fun. Don't miss it. We'll be back in just a few on R6 NAL.